Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Kayode Okikulu, coming to you live from Lagos. But first, the big political stories at this hour. National Assembly asks Supreme Court to dismiss the suit filed by the People's Democratic Party governors against the declaration of emergency rule in River State. The World Bank advises the federal government to protect the poorest against rising inflation amidst grim projections that more people may fall into poverty in the next 5 years. And the ruling All Progressives Congress continues to welcome new members, this time in Cross River State, in what is being termed as the season of defections. Well, let's start off with the courts, where the National Assembly is asking the Supreme Court of Nigeria to dismiss the suit filed by 11 governors from the People's Democratic Party challenging the declaration of a state of emergency in River State. In its response, the National Assembly contended that the suit was procedurally flawed and lacked merit. The Assembly further argued that the court lacks the jurisdiction to entertain the suit and should award 1 billion naira in costs against the governors for filing what it termed a frivolous and speculative suit. Declaring that it holds a memorandum of conditional appearance, the National Assembly argued that due process was not followed in instituting the suit, emphasizing that the plaintiffs failed to issue the statutorily required 3-month pre-action notice to the clerk of the National Assembly, as mandated under Section 21 of the Legislative House's Powers and Privileges Act 2017. Additionally, the National Assembly argued that the plaintiffs did not secure resolutions from their respective state houses of assembly, a prerequisite for approaching the Supreme Court under its original jurisdiction provisions outlined in the Supreme Court Act 2002. Citing alleged threats referenced in the plaintiff suit, which borders on a statement attributed to the Attorney General during a press briefing, the National Assembly noted that since the threat did not emanate from them or its officers, the suit has no business with them. 11 PDP governors had approached the Supreme Court to raise questions on what authority President Bola Tinubu has to suspend a democratically elected state institution and replace it with an unelected one. We'll continue to follow the unfoldings at the Supreme Court and we'll bring you the updates as they come in. And more stories now. The World Bank has advised the federal government to implement reforms that protect the country's poorest against rising inflation. The bank also advised the government to boost the livelihoods of all Nigerians through more productive work, which it said is key to reversing high poverty levels. The World Bank stated this in its latest April 2025 Poverty and Equity Brief for Nigeria, which was obtained today. The month, in its Africa Pulse report, declared that more Nigerians will become poor over the next 5 years, citing Nigeria's structural economic weaknesses, reduction. Well, all of this has not slowed down politics. And ahead of the 2027 general election, the Nasarawa State Governor, Abdullahi Sule, is advising opposition political party leaders in the country to desist from wooing the immediate past president, Muhammadu Buhari, and the defunct Congress for Progressive Change CPC members to join any coalition. The governor, who gave the advice in Lafia, the state capital, emphasized that former President Buhari, one of the founding fathers of the APC, and other members of the defunct CPC will not join the planned coalition against President Tinubu because of the numerous achievements he had recorded since his emergence in office in 2023.
It's as a zone to join APC, that is the ruling political party. You must have seen how in other geopolitical zones where even sitting governors are now joining APC. Because really, the exact meaning of power is proximity to the source of authority. It is by joining the All Progressive Congress that is in charge of federal government of Nigeria and over 22 subnational governments that Southeast will be very, very close to the corridor of power.
Well, speaking of moving into the APC, the former deputy governorship candidate of the PDP in Cross River State, Emmanuel Duke Amawe, alongside others, have officially joined the APC. Speaking at her ward in Akpabio local government area, where she was received by APC leaders, she explained that the achievements of the APC-led government at both state and federal levels are the driving force behind her move. She called on members of the opposition to adopt a more constructive approach, urging them to support efforts to build the state. And receiving the defectors, the council chairman of Akpabio, Honorable Effiong Basi, explained that the members should be productive, as both new and old members all have equal rights in the party.
You cannot be a politician without having a platform to perform. Some of us are not here because of hunger or appointment, just like my executive chairman had said. These things will come because if you have to work, you definitely need a platform to work. But with the little expertise, the little skill set we've garnered over the years, I believe it's actually wrong for you to take these things, maybe go work somewhere else without pitching in your own quota toward nation building. And I'm a nation builder. That's why I am now part of the All Progressives Congress. And then let me also take this time to answer the question someone asked me. Someone told me, oh, we are fast moving towards a one-party state in Nigeria. Everybody seems to be joining the All Progressives Congress. The thing is that nobody is being forced to join the All Progressives Congress. If there is going to be opposition, we need viable opposition parties. When the opposition parties are not able to put their acts together, and there's a lot of dissension within the ranks of these opposition parties, it's obvious they are not ready to do the business of the day. So for me, I'm a business-minded person, so I go where people mean business, and they do not just mean business, they are working towards achieving those dreams. So for me, that's what I'm about, and that's why I am now an excited and the latest member of the All Progressives Party.
Let's head over to Zamfara State now, where the crisis rocking the State Assembly is yet to abate. The Speaker of the Assembly, Biliaminu Mariki, says the emergence of a parallel assembly by some lawmakers will not deter the legislature under his leadership from discharging its constitutional responsibilities to the people. Addressing journalists over the weekend at the Assembly complex in Gusau, the embattled Speaker described the move as a deliberate attempt to distract both the legislative and executive arms of government from delivering development to the people.
The crisis rocking the Zamfara State House of Assembly follows internal disputes among lawmakers, which led to the suspension of some members over a year ago for alleged violations of House rules and legislative misconduct. The affected members have since challenged their suspension in court. Despite the legal proceedings, the suspended lawmakers held a meeting on Thursday in Gusau, away from the assembly complex, during which they announced the dissolution of all principal offices and standing committees, as well as appointed 2 sensitive committees.
Thursday House of Assembly is hereby dissolved all principal officers and are referred to the ad hoc committee of ethics and privileges for investigation of alleged financial misconduct. All the special and standing committees are hereby dissolved.
But their action has been described as illegal. Addressing newsmen in his office, the Speaker of the Zamfara State House of Assembly voided their proceedings.
While one member has since tendered a written apology and expressed regret, others have persisted in the fines going as far as to hold an illegal gathering style as a parallel assembly. As a law-abiding institution, we shall await the court's ruling before taking further action. We remain undertaken in our constitutional responsibilities and firm in our dedication to serving the people we represent.
Moriki highlights the achievements of the current assembly under him.
Lawmaking remains the cornerstone of any legislative institution. I am pleased to inform you that the 7th Assembly has deliberated often and passed over 43 bills.
As the crisis continues, all eyes remain on the court's verdict, which may determine the future direction of the legislative arm in Zamfara State.
So let's unpack the political situation across the country. We're joined on the program by political analyst Mr. Jide Ojo, joins us virtually from the nation's capital. Mr. Ojo, you're welcome to the program. And I'll just get right into it. It's been described as the season of defections across states now. We've seen Governor of Delta State defecting alongside his other leaders in the state, even though there are concerns that some of them have not even registered for the APC properly. We just saw one in Cross River State, Governor Hope Uzodimma asking Southeast leaders to come to the APC so they will be marginalized in his sense. So speak to us, is this a thing that we should now get used to, really, or is there something more playing out here?
Kayode, good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me on your program. It's our new normal. It's our new normal, and it's been like that for quite a while, since 1999, under this Fourth Republic. We see this pilgrimage to the ruling party after every elections and preparatory to new general elections. We see all of this happening. But it's not something that we should celebrate, because this is a slide towards autocracy and dictatorship. When you are endorsing a one-party system in quotes. And when we say one-party system, we are not here saying that only one party is registered. We are talking about a dominant de facto one-party state. This is what I weighed in on in my column in the Punch newspaper last Wednesday. And I said we are already a de facto one-party state. Quite unfortunately so, because we have 19 registered political parties. But then, before you blame the IM for wickedness, you have to first blame the mother hen for exposing her children to the danger. I mean, before you blame the hawk for wickedness, first blame mother hen for exposing her children to danger. Why I'm saying that is that if the opposition political parties have put their house in order, if they have done thorough house cleaning and housekeeping, if they have been able to maturely and resolve their internal wranglings, leadership crisis, peradventure there will be no ground for this mass defection that we are seeing. Unfortunately, almost all political parties in Nigeria are battling with their own internal intrigues and leadership crisis. Is it NMPP? Is it Labour Party? Is it PDP? Is it even the APC itself is having its own issues, just that they are able to paper over it. And the fact that, in Nigeria, nobody wants to be in political Siberia. Everybody wants to be in political Saudi Arabia. They want to be where influence peddling, reigns, where they can get appointments, contracts, where they can get the re-election. And we know that the election season is fast beckoning. So, again, it's our new normal, but it's quite unfortunate.
Oh dear. And this is happening amidst projections by the World Bank, for example, that in the next 5 years, more Nigerians will fall into poverty. In fact, there's a projection that by 2027, that there will be more poor people in Nigeria than what we have today. So by the World Bank. 2027, incidentally, is a target for a lot of politicians to get re-election, and that's why there's a lot of movement here and there. So for the people, their own, what they need is just basically fix the economy, fix security and all of that. But for the politician, it would appear that their own primary need is political alignment and re-election. The need of the people appears secondary here. Or is it also primary for the politician, these issues that the people have? Because it doesn't look like it, Mr. Ojo.
Well, it doesn't look like, but it is. It's about their own survival, daily survival too. Many people cannot survive outside of politics. I recall the late Abubakar Rimi, former governor of Kano State, who said he has so many political mouths to feed and he cannot afford to be in opposition. And that is the truth. Politicians have alls of aides, dependents, and they cannot fend for those aides, those alls of people who daily trot to their homes and offices from their meager salary. So they have to be where they could get contracts, make more money to satisfy. Because I don't know, Karen, if you have ever visited the home of a serving members of the National Assembly or even State House of Assembly or governor, you'll find that even in fact, I wonder how they cope because there is a lot to corruption, the kind of dependency that the system has. And I'm not saying, maybe it's a chicken and egg thing. If they have not made poverty an article of faith for the ordinary citizen, perhaps there will be fewer number of dependents on them. But the reality, the sad reality is that even as a local government councillor or chairperson, before you wake up at 6, there are maybe 10, 20, 50 people waiting for you with complaints about how to pay their children's school fees, how to pay their rent, how to their wife that is sick and all of that. And you are expected as a politician to take care of those needs. So they themselves are affected by this poverty projection. But then who do you blame? You blame the system that has pulverized us, that has made everybody to turn to a beggar, whether it's a decent beggar or a poor beggar. The bottom line is that many of us are begging to survive. Many of us are living on loans. Many of us are in debt. And we don't even have to wait to 2027. All those projections are just here. For me, it's neither here nor there because every day more people are dropping into poverty line in Nigeria. Every day, many people could no longer pay their rent. They can't sponsor their children in schools. They cannot feed.
Oh dear, we'll try to reconnect with Mr. Jide. I was making the point about the projections by the World Bank that, well, we don't have to wait till then. It's happening on a daily basis. And I imagine that's what would then become the culmination by 2027. But Mr. Ojo, we have you back now, so please you can land on the point you were making.
So what I'm saying is that we don't even have to wait till 2027. It's already with us, the poverty, the deepening poverty. In fact, we couple of years ago exited being the poverty capital of the world, but we are back there. We are back there. We have more people in Nigeria than in India, in China, in Malaysia, in Singapore now. And it's a sad reality.
So my question
when you
is,
look at the rising cost of living, has impoverished every one of us, except the political class in any event.
And that's my point, Mr. Ojo. And pardon me, and that's the point. So how do we align political interests with the interest of the people? Again, as I said, it looks like you found a way to align it, that, well, the politician's political interest is also to ensure that he's able to cater to those needs. And it's a very warped arrangement. But primarily, it looks like the politician's interest is survival, to get a second term, to always stay in power for different reasons, while the people's interest is also survival, but economic survival. So my question is, how do we make sure that the political interest pays off for the people, such that the system which you speak to works for those people who, by the way, handed over the reins of power to the politicians to handle the system such that the system works for them?
Unfortunately, yes, we all surrender our own individual liberties or our sovereignty to, we outsource it to the political class through elections to go represent us. Unfortunately, what many of them are after is personal aggrandizement. And when you say, how do we make their interest to align with the people's interest, is by holding them to account. Media, civil society have a lot of work to do. We just have to continue to call them out. This poverty is intolerable. We are at the brink of revolution. The risk of sounding alarmist. We all know that, Revolution sometimes doesn't have to have any arrowheads. People are just tired and they just want to vent their anger on the system. We saw that happen in 2011 as a springboard to Arab Spring. 2011 in Tunisia, then it spread to Egypt, Algeria, and a couple of other North African countries. It's because people were tired of poverty, they were tired of rising cost of living and all of that. That's what prompted that revolution. And unfortunately, the Arab Spring, you even saw what happened in Kenya mid last year, over issue of finance bill, where the President Uhuru Kenyatta, what's his name now? Not Uhuru Kenyatta, the current president was trying to raise revenue at the expense of the people, and people have to protest. And for a whole month, people on the streets of Nairobi are protesting. We have had our own fair share of protests and bad governance, and the last one that was held a couple of weeks ago. But it has not really gained traction. And if care is not taken, the way the political class is driving is steering the ship of this country, many people may have no option but to face up to their leaders in protest to say, we must live, we must breathe, it's our right. You know, Section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution talks about citizens, the primary purpose of government being welfare and security of citizens. And where that is absent, it's a call to anarchy.
I know that some of these politicians have said nobody forced them to join the APC. They did on their own volition, so there shouldn't be any fear of a one-party state. But on a final note, there are those who say, well, any politician who's able to jump ship, should not be taken serious. Do you agree with that?
It's not about even being taken serious or not. It's about their own political survival. They care less about whether you took them serious or not. After all, party system is just like a special purpose vehicle through which they ride on to power, and that's their own primary interest. As you well know, as a political correspondent, as somebody who is very vast in the coverage of politics and elections, you know that in politics, the only thing that is permanent is interest, not friendship or enmity. And they care less about their own perspective. See, politics and morality are two different things. Politics and morality does not mix. They are like oil and water. And so they are just more concerned about their own political survival, how to win the next election, how to make sure that they have access to resources through appointments, through contracts, through re-election, through whatever means. It's a Machiavellian principle of the end justifies the means. Let's whatever. I mean, after all, they will give you handouts. It's a vicious circle. They abuse their office, make money, and then they give you peanuts on daily basis or monthly basis. Some will have it in the form of social investment program, where you say you are giving 25,000 to a family of 5 or 6 for 3 months, and then you think that is poverty alleviation. That is never going to be a poverty alleviation. 25,000 naira for a family, not just individual. Even if it's individual, you are giving them for 25,000. How much? What can that 25,000 buy? Then you give for 3 months, and then you say you have helped to alleviate poverty. That is not poverty alleviation. So what we need to do is to call them out, let them do things that can help individuals to survive on their own, to have self-employment, things like electricity, infrastructural development, good policies, let people be able, cost of doing business, reduce the cost of doing business. That way, you and I, ordinary citizens, can fend for themselves without having to wait for the handout from government institutions.
So ultimately, the politicians' interest must align with the people's interest for us to be able to say they're actually doing the work. We have to thank you so much. Yet another reminder, morality and politics do not mix. So we've been speaking with Mr. Jide Ojo, political analyst. Thank you so much for your time on the program. I understand last week was your birthday, and as a friend of the house, wish you the very best.
Thank you very much. It was on April 28th. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sincere regards.
Thank you. Well, let's talk security, which also is a function of politics and the policies. Well, the police is reporting significant victories in the ongoing battle against crime. The Lagos State Police Command has responded to a rival court clash that led to the death of a final year student of the City University of Technology, formerly known as the Yaba College of Technology in the Yaba area of Lagos. Well, the command confirmed that 7 suspects have been arrested and are assisting in investigation. The Commissioner of Police in Lagos State told Channels Television that the command intervention team, a core strike force, swiftly responded to the situation and ready to tackle all forms of high priority crime across the state. That's Lunchtime Politics for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okikiolu. Do stay with Channels Television for all of your political and breaking news. Goodbye.